rounds of artillery ammunition, more than 50 advanced launch rocket systems, anti-ship and air defense systems, all defend Ukraine, and that doesn't count the other $500 million we're announcing with you today and tomorrow. That's going to be coming your way. And that's just the United States in this piece.
Can anyone see how dark and crazy this is? Truly crazy? Yes, many Americans can see how dark and crazy it is. Look at the numbers. How many Americans support this war for democracy that Americans for some reason can't vote on? Why don't we have a national referendum on all this? As long as we're leveling a country on behalf of democracy, it might be nice to try democracy here, but no. It's all so grotesque. It defies imagination, really. But imagine if you were watching all of this spectacle from your home in East Palestine, Ohio, a home that is still stinking of chemicals you can't identify. So here you have the President of the United States personally visiting a corrupt foreign autocrat to announce $500 million more in your tax dollars to go to Ukraine. Meanwhile, you, stuck in some lost and forgotten part of Ohio, the state that helped build this country, have a mushroom cloud over your city. The animals are dying, the water is glowing. And yet for more than 2 weeks after all of this started with the famous train derailment, FEMA and the Biden administration have refused to provide any kind of financial assistance to you. East Palestine still hasn't even gotten a token visit from Joe Biden's token transportation secretary, Mayor Pete. And after 2 weeks, people in East Palestine are starting to notice. Watch.
What federal response?
The White House is under fire for its response to the East Palestine train derailment.
If it were in Washington, D.C., it would all be cleaned up and taken care of.
I've had massive headaches since it started.
And locals say they're feeling the effects of the toxic chemicals.
East Palestine resident Melissa Blake says 2 days after the toxic train derailment, doctors diagnosed her with acute bronchitis from chemical fumes.
It's hard to breathe. My chest is always tight, the coughing.
I'm 53. I've had 2 headaches in my life, and I feel like I've had one every day since the controlled burn.
My kids will never go play in our backyard again, which makes me very sad. Now it's never going to be safe for them, in my eyes.
Today, families like the Bayless lined up for a $1,000 check per person.
Is $1,000 enough?
Probably not. Honestly, it's probably not.
Ted Murphy doesn't believe officials who say there's no lingering health risks.
I gotta move because I'm not safe being here. There is no way we are safe.
But nobody cares, and they know that in East Palestine. But the contrasts are becoming too sharp and obvious. The American border versus the Ukrainian border. One doesn't matter at all. In fact, it's racist. The other is so important we'll risk nuclear war to protect it. Aid to Zelensky, unaudited, God knows where it's going. Nobody seems to care. And aid to East Palestine. We just can't afford it. Unfortunately, people you just are not Ukrainian. So Joe Biden is not interested enough to visit. Unfortunately, no one in East Palestine thought to pay Joe Biden's son $80,000 a month. If someone had done that, someone had been wise enough to pay off the Biden family 8 years ago, things would be different. Here's how Joe Biden might talk to them now.
It's going to deliver much needed humanitarian assistance as well as food, water, medicine, shelter, and other aid to Ukrainians displaced by Russia's war, and provide aid for those seeking refuge in other countries from Ukraine. It's also going to help schools and hospitals open. It's going to allow pensions and social support to be paid to the Ukrainian people so they have something in their pocket.
So not everything that winds its way through Congress is of equal importance. Most legislation in Congress means nothing in the long term. Nuclear war means everything in the long term. So what's the issue on which both parties seem aligned? Oh, the issue that matters. So there is no opposition party. Both parties seem to agree that the administration that shot down weather balloons with $400,000 heat-seeking missiles is capable of navigating an incredibly complex conflict in Eastern Europe where the stakes are existential. No problem. We can pull this off. Everybody involved is Winston Churchill. No one on the Republican side seems outraged on a gut level that the President of the United States is personally visiting an autocrat in a tracksuit in Kiev while he ignores the exposure of thousands of American citizens to toxic chemicals we can't identify. So Republicans in the Senate have a leader. You might be interested in what he thinks is important. Here he is.
I'm going to try to help explain to the American people that defeating the Russians in Ukraine is the single most important event going on in the world right now.